Aquarius, this is called the time machine spread. It's just for fun, of course, but it imports the idea of your future self traveling into the past to give you messages. It also imports the idea of what your past brings to you in the present and what your present sends to your future. It's called the time machine spread. Now, it's just for fun, but if anyone could chew or digest the idea of time travel, I'm sure it would be Aquarius. I believe that what's happening in this reading is that you have traveled through time to correct an error. Aquarius, while I'm shuffling, let me ask you this question. What is the past? Would you agree with me that it's not the present? Could you say also then that the past is really a memory, a recollection? Could you agree the past then, that memory, that recollection, it's a record that's in the non-physical? In a moment, I will explain to you what these positions are and what the cards that are coming out here represent. But would you also go further and agree with me about the past, about these recollections, that just as a physicist, a hardcore objective scientist would describe the smallest particle that exists is a probability amplitude, it's not physical. It does not exist. It's a mental record, the past. It's a record in the astral plane, in the Akashic records. Okay. Would you say that it's fair to say that things that are in the present have manifested? In other words, they have come into physical existence. This is your turf, Aquarius, because on the tree of life, you are the fool. You govern the pathway from nothing to something, from Keter to Hokmah, to Dot, to Bina, and then down the tree of life to Malkut, to the magician who manifests. How about the future? Would you agree with me that the future could be described as plans of what you want to manifest? Probability amplitudes, things that don't show up in the physicist's particle accelerator until it is observed by a human being, by human consciousness. That is what causes a probability amplitude to blink into existence. So say physicists, hardcore scientists. So time machines, they do exist, like a particle accelerator in a physicist's lab, they do exist. But of course, one cannot travel through time without a little vibration. I find that 963 hertz, the vibration of the crown chakra, helps, plus what you put in your mind, what you focus on, human consciousness, we call it. So could we go forward then and say that the past and the future, they make up the Akashic records? All that ever was, all that will be, and all that is. You might ask, well, what about the present? Sure, that's part of the Akashic records, but not very much of the Akashic records is the present moment. Why? Well, this moment, right now, how long does this last? There, it's gone. Do you see how little of the Akashic records is comprised of the present? So that's why it's easy to get stuck in the past. Think of the tarot card of the 5 of Cups, regret. It's easy to get stuck in the future. Think of the 8 of Swords, worry. The other day, I heard Eckhart Tolle being asked, what is the one thing we could do to remain spiritually sound, the most important thing. And everyone expected that he would say, well, to meditate or to do yoga. No, he simply said to be aware, to pay attention to your surroundings, to be aware, to be immersed in the present. The power of observation, he said, eliminates worry, fear, getting stuck in that future worry where you place your attention on worry and fear. He said if you focus on what is, on sounds around you, on sights, you are placing your attention. That is the field of attention. It's like the magician's table, human awareness. And that is the fuel. That is what affects what comes into physical reality. So when you say to me on the lives, what's going to happen in my future? Sometimes you hear me get frustrated, and I always say, what'll happen in your future is most likely to be what is on your mind right now. What is on your magician's table? What is in your field of attention? In this reading, the present for you, Aquarius, is the past. It comes up as the Six of Cups. So in this reading, you've already gone. You're gone. The present moment, you've actually gone back, and I believe you've gone back to correct an error. In the tarot card of the Six of Cups, the most important character, I believe, is one that you can barely see. It's a man in the background. He's in gray with a long walking stick. He's back on. He's mysterious. He's walking away. I believe that what's happened in this reading is you left too soon in the past. I believe that your future self wanted to travel back in time to tell you to wait a little longer. I believe that you did this, that you traveled into the past, that you informed your past self about the potential error, and you corrected the error. Let me explain the spread. Now, if you look at what I have before me right now, you will see the King of Cups. I know, I'm sorry, it's upside down, but you'll see him there next to the Six of Cups. The King of Cups in this reading is in position number 1, and it is your past. Now, I believe that that person, it's not you, it's your person. And your person was not saying something. He was not taking action, he or she, action that ought to have been taken. Now I want you to look a little closer at the board before me. Right in the middle of this board, you will see, I'm pointing there at the King of Cups. That is your past. I believe that's your person. I'm holding this up here. This person, you can see his foot he almost made it. You almost made it. You almost came together. I believe that you loved each other very much. But this person failed to take action that ought to have been taken. Now, the interesting thing is the card next to it is the Six of Cups. It has a lot of yellow in it. In a moment, I'll hold it up. But here's what's incredible. The position number 2, where the Six of Cups is supposed to represent your present. But when we pick up the card, it's a card of the past. Aquarius, you're not there. You've already traveled back. And I believe that in that Six of Cups, you are the time traveler. You are the man in gray. I'm picking up your card now of your present. I'm picking it up. And lo and behold, it is the past. It is the past. So you've already gone back. Now, I will attempt in a moment to point to the man who is walking away. It's in the far left corner of the card. I believe that at this point in the reading, I tried to point it out. My microphone was not working very well, so I had to do a voiceover. and the tape kept cutting. As you can see, it cut there. Here I am trying to point out the man in gray. This character, if you look him up on the internet on any tarot card website that tries to explain Arthur Edward Waite symbolism, you just will not find a decent explanation of what he's doing there. Some say that, he's gray. This is the card of the soulmate, and the souls blending together make gray. I don't think that's correct. You can see I'm trying to point him out there, that man. In the intro, I'll try to highlight him. But I believe this is you. I believe you traveled back to correct an error, to make sure that these two soulmates come together, you and your person. Do I believe that this happens? I do. I think we do it all the time. I think people travel in time all the time. It's very difficult to remember what you're doing. It is an exhausting task as a tarot card reader to read the future. I say that often. You always see me rolling my eyes on the live readings when people ask for futures. Aquarius, in that Six of Cups card, there are white flowers being given from one to another. You will recall that in one of your major arcana cards, the Fool, which is also on the table here, and you won't believe what position it showed up in, but you are carrying a white flower. Now, what's interesting is the white flowers in the Six of Cups. These are wild white 5-petaled roses. They are natural. They are pure, and that is the same kind of flower that you're carrying with you in your major arcana card. I believe that you knew this in the past, and you're going back to hold on to this. Aquarius, there is a book called The Time Machine, and it was written in the late 1800s. It was written made this deck, and I believe that he fashioned this card, the Six of Cups, around this book. And the time traveler is the man in gray. The time traveler, the man in gray, for example, in the book is quoted as having said, "We are always getting away from the present moment. Our mental existence, which are immaterial and have no dimensions, are passing along the time dimension with a uniform velocity from the cradle to the grave. We must not allow the clock and the calendar to blind us to the fact that each moment of life is a miracle and mystery." In other words, we are manifesting every second, every millisecond. We are manifesting things right now. We are manifesting. Now, in this card, that white flower is very important because you have clung to this one thing that throughout the time, of course, in that book, the main character is a little horrified to see what's in the future, how mankind, has not exactly, let me not ruin the book for you, but let me give you a quote about these flowers. And it's somewhere in the epilogue that I believe this quote occurs. He says, "And I have by me for my comfort 2 strange white flowers, shriveled now, and brown and flat and brittle, to witness that even when mind and strength had gone, gratitude and a mutual tenderness still lived on in the heart of men." And that was the main character wistfully remembering the time traveler, because the time traveler had left by then. And the main character felt a little bit bad that he initially didn't believe the time traveler, that it could be done. Of course, he ended up traveling with him. And he said about the time traveler, "The fact is, the time traveler was one of those men who are too clever to be believed. You never felt that you saw all around him. You always suspected some subtle reserve, some ingenuity in ambush behind his lucid frankness. Of course, the time traveler was very true and just didn't feel the need to convince anyone of anything." So, in this point in the reading, and I'm doing the voiceover now because the audio was just so bad, I'm explaining the white flowers here, and the idea that I believe that the error that you may have made in the past was to walk away from something too soon. But you sort of felt this angst about it because you knew that the connection was pure. Just while we're waiting for me to get to the next card, another cute quote that the time traveler gave the main character in the book. He was explaining, why the idea of time travel is not digestible to people who sort of need empirical evidence of everything. He said, "You must follow me carefully. I shall have to controvert one or two ideas that are almost universally accepted. The geometry, for instance, they taught you at school is founded on a misconception." Now, look at the card that I'm showing you here. Aquarius, this is your future. I believe that in the future, someone, your soulmate, and I believe it is the same person in that King of Cups card, is bringing this cup. And I believe this is happening because of the travel that you did through time to correct the error. So I'm putting that card down. So that was your future. Your future is that your soulmate does come in with the cup. And I'm explaining here about what I thought you did. I'm pointing at the gray man there that I thought you had gone back and corrected the error. So in this spread, of course, the outcome is right here. I'm picking it up now. It is a romantic offer. It is the best of outcomes. But how did we get there? We're going to find out now in a moment. Position number 4, I'm going to pick up in a moment, and it represents your past self. I'm jumping ahead here and picking up your future self. I was trying to make a point that what you're holding on to here, this isn't greed or anything. I believe, do you see that futuristic city behind you? I believe that you are holding on to what's in your heart. It is the upper polarity in this card. Worst case scenario, Aquarius, you're going to be very wealthy. So if I'm wrong, you're wealthy. If I'm right, you're wealthy and you've managed to maintain what's in your heart, and you will not allow materialism to degrade that. Now, hopefully, I will go back here and pick up position number 4, which represents your past self. And now you will begin to see, when we look at your past self, why you had to do some time travel. Of course, Aquarius, this spread is just for fun, but it makes a lot of sense as we move throughout, especially when you hear about where the position that the Fool is in. I'm trying to piece it all together here, and I'm realizing that King of Cups is actually the Knight of Cups that comes in your future. And of course, in the past, in some version of reality, it didn't work out because there we go. Now I'm finally picking up the card, position number 4, which is your past self. Now, what are you wary about here? So I'm trying to clarify. You're wary about something. Your past self was wary about something. Now we're going to find out what happened. So I'm trying to clarify here, what was Aquarius wary about? And there's the split. Well, you're in the past very worried about a decision. And you can see the 7 of Cups is there. There's a decision that somebody is trying to make, and they're stressing. And that person, as you can see, there's a war going on in their head. So what's happening there is you are allowing the clock of the calendar to blind you. And your mind is stuck either in the past or in the future. Worry, worry, worry. And in a moment, now I am picking up. So this is position number 5. This is what your past brought to your present. This was an angry, impetuous, this was a knee-jerk reaction Okay, so this was the error, that came from that worry that I'm circling there. So as you know, this is Aquarius energy. It's Knight of Swords energy. It's an action that is taken, that it's not well thought out, but originally it was well intentioned. I'm pointing at a red heart there on the bridle there of the horse, which WAITE meant to indicate to us that even though this person may take some angry, destructive action, it started out because they loved somebody or something, or there was something they were very passionate about. So this is part of what you're going back to correct. And then I'm piecing together here what you were wary about, and the poor decision making there that was based on linear thinking. Now, something very fascinating is position number 7, which is what your present is sending to your future. What your present is sending to your future. And it is quite amazing. Hopefully, I'll pick up the card in a moment. So the opposite energy of what we've talked about, worry and having things on your mind and linear thinking. What am I picking up there? Oh, I'm picking up your present self. Yes. So here's more worry. Because of this past error, here we have worry about the future. All right. So this is Jupiter in Gemini, worry, worry, worry. And I'm simply pointing out here that this person is trapped by their expanding negative thought. It is Jupiter in Gemini. Gemini is the planet of expansion. The reason why this is happening is because what's on the bottom of that card, I'm about, hopefully, I don't know if I pointed it out, but there's water and there's ground. In other words, the water represents subconscious worries. The water being close to the ground and mixed with grounds is supposed to indicate that there is some groundedness, some reason to be worried. So this person is very much trapped in fear and anxiety about the future. So as you can see, the whole theme of this is to do that thing that Eckhart Tolle talks about, which is to refocus, to put the refocus. And when we clarified your guardedness, we had Mars in Gemini, the 9 of Swords, which is a war going on in someone's head. And you'll remember that the trick to getting out of that are to look at the red roses, the checkered blanket, and think of the magician. Now have a look at this. Here I was clarifying the top position, which is what you were worried about presently. And what we got was the 5 of Cups, which is worry about the past, and that choice that was there. Now, that could be you or another person, but as you can see, there's an awful lot of focus that is not on what's going on in the present moment. And that probably led to the angry, destructive action there. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, what is the correction that I made? What correction did I make? It's actually quite a simple correction. The error, I believe, was to leave too quickly, and the correction was to wait a little longer. And there is, in fact, a quote in the book, and it goes something like this. It sounds plausible enough tonight, but wait until tomorrow. Wait for the common sense of the morning. And this one simple correction that you made, and you'll see it coming up now in a moment, is what brings this all together and what allows you and your soulmate and this person to come together in the end, in this reality. Because remember that in another one, it didn't work out. That's why you went back to correct it. Now I'm picking up the position number 7, which is what your present is sending to your future. Do you see what I see? This is Aleph. This is the beginning and the ending. This is the energy. This is you. It's the Fool. It is the pathway from nothing, from Keter, to something. It brings things into existence. It's what happens when a human being puts their attention on that probability amplitude in the physicist's lab, in the particle accelerator. It makes something blink into existence. It is incredibly powerful, this reading, and incredibly ironic that you ended up in that position, because that's exactly what you do. You bring things into existence. And, the Fool is never afraid that backpack, there are some subconscious memories there that will have to be unpacked during this particular lifetime. But for now, you're putting them neatly in that backpack. They will not serve you to be in your head. They're fine where they are in that pack-a-sack. And I'm explaining here the huge dichotomy between the way you're feeling presently and what your present is sending to your future. So obviously the correction has already been made, and that would explain why your present, when we picked up the card of the present, you weren't there. We got the past because you were back correcting the error. Clearly it has been corrected. We're going to find out, though, with the outcome. It's pretty neat. At this point, I'm just discussing the pathway, the Fool's pathway, that, of course, you connect Keter to the Great Father, to Chokmah, which goes to Dot, which is to the field of attention, to Bina, and then down through the Tree of Life to make things come into physical existence. Aquarius, this is your turf. It is the most important pathway on the Tree of Life, the Fool's pathway. Now, where did you get the idea in the first place of what needed to be corrected? Where is it in this spread? It's coming up. Just bear with me. At this point in the reading, I was simply going back to explain the fact that I was putting it all together here, that the white flowers, there's a white flower in your hand in the Fool card. And there are white flowers, but notably 5-petaled white flowers in that 6 of Cups card, which tells me that this, there we go. So here's the key to the whole reading. This is how you corrected the error. This is what your future wanted your present to know. This is the 7 of Pentacles. This was the hint, the correction, a little longer. Because you see, the error that this man, it's Saturn and Taurus, the error that this person makes is they become impatient and they leave. And I think you did that because in the very beginning, your King of Cups, who was in position number 1, he also didn't take action and he wasn't saying anything, so you left. So what's happening here is you are being given that advice in the book. It sounds plausible enough tonight, but wait until tomorrow. Wait for the common sense of the morning. And because you went back, corrected that error, gave yourself that advice, because you took the advice of this card, the advice of your future self, and of course, this card is called Lord of Success Unfulfilled. The person is not happy because they haven't seen the results yet. They're waiting and feeling torn. They're restricted. And they're in a holding pattern. But the advice of the card is to take a step back and wait. Sometimes there's nothing you can do but wait. Wait for the common sense of the morning. And it certainly worked out. Look at this. So this is the last position. This is what your present needs to know or do about your past. So this is how you brought this all together. This card tells me that you did go back and correct the error, and boy, was it ever a resounding success. Of course, the 10 of Cups is a delight to see in any reading. Happiness in the 10 of Cups is assured, and it is with this person here who started out the reading, I believe. In the 10 of Cups, you are coming, look at that, and that's your future, okay? That was the present, and in where you weren't there, you were in the past when we looked at the present. So I do believe that you did a little time travel, Aquarius. But once again, the 10 of Cups, the one thing that can be said about that card is that happiness is assured. And generally, you are coming together with someone as family. And I'm pointing out here that I do believe it is with this King of Cups. Now, Aquarius, this will only resonate for some of you. I do realize that there are many of you who are 100% done. The past person, so I understand, and I sometimes you comment, that's it, I'm done with that person. It's okay. I welcome those comments as well, because I think it's important that everybody see, that some people are on a different, are just have a different trajectory right now. No one better than the other. I think you're all making very good decisions. So this reading would be for those who do feel that their soulmate is in the vicinity, and at this point in time when you're listening to this reading, you may be with them, or you may not have met them yet, or it may be just after you've left. You could be anywhere. It's kind of you could be there. But it's nice to see. Look at that. Look at what you did. Very powerful card. Here, at this point, I'm kind of having an aha moment. I'm pulling it all together, and I'm very excited to see that. It's too bad we lost the original audio, but it was so bad. I just have not got the hang microphone yet. Anyway, Aquarius, it's a beautiful outcome. It's just for fun reading. I highly recommend, though, that you get that book. It was written in the late 1800s. It's by H.G.WELLS, and it's called The Time Machine. And I think you'll just fall in love with the time traveler. He's kind of a wary fellow. And of course, the narrator is a really interesting character as well. It's just an incredibly good book. So Aquarius, thank you so much. And thank you for even nibbling on this idea. Of course, I know it's a bit far-fetched, but is it really? Thanks, Aqua.